The regular computers, they are machines, but they have billions of little information storage. They are there, they are always active. It shows up when we need to access them. This is the way we get to know our computer. But in comparison with the human mind, body, spirit vessel, the creator wants to get to know everything about us. It is a really complicated, uh, extremely, uh, extremely deep information containers that we are walking around with. So then we have the human consciousness experiencing uh, extremely different, uh, countless experiences in real life, in real time, throughout the world. So although they seem similar, but they are different. It's only a common sense observation to realize this is why these things are happening. It's a expression of human consciousness. Every part of our making, it needs to get to know. The creator has to get to know everything about us. So then we are observing at the same time the personal responsibility of our mind, body, spirit, divine vessel is to uh, be awakened and be conscious and asking the questions into these existence of our vessel, the purpose. I know that I try to understand every time, because this is what interests me, because I want to get to know things and why this happened. And I have to assume that I have a depth. Uh, I have a right to get to know about myself, and the depth, the weaknesses, and how we can channel these energies for the growth and towards the collective consciousness and unconditional love eventually. So this is the common sense observation. Now, in the regular computer, we have sometimes autocorrect buttons. You can autocorrect, and you can feed the information and guide them towards the correction if there is some kind of problems. Uh, for the human consciousness, it's the same thing. Do we have an autocorrect button? Are we correcting ourselves when we are not growing towards the unconditional love? This is the kind of questions that is necessary, and being observant, being awakened, being conscious really means. So then we understand the most lower form of our energy, our existence, and the empathy, compassion, and kindness is somewhat neutral. This is the stepping towards the right directions, because when we are sort of we have a empathy for others, meaning we are going, we are making the way towards the collective consciousness, towards the growth, because we can easily identify things that's another person's going through, and we can resonate that with our own experiences. We know that it is the right thing to do. So then we are protecting our mind, body, spirit vessel. This is what the autocorrect form for the human mind, body, spirit vessel, because we make mistakes, but we correct them because we have awareness, because we are awakened. Instead of going through life without any changes, without any um, uh, growth, because we are stuck with the old patterns, because patterns of extreme negativity, extreme toxicity, we are stuck, and we are not walking towards the growth. Now, the tree of life and natural ecosystem is the same thing. You see some of the beautiful looking trees cut down sometimes. When you ask around, they're like, it's infected with something, we have to take it down, or it's going to consume the whole ecosystem. We hear these kind of things, although it looks nice on the surface, it's infected within. So we are identifying these problems. Same thing with the human vessel. Um, we have to nurture it properly. Otherwise, it become weakened and is not thriving, and is not existing in a cycle of growth. Is actually uh, infected, become infected vessel. What do I mean by that? The perfect example I can come up with, you see the season, the flu, the season is coming, and everyone is coughing around, and you're is spreading these germs. This is what we think. We're like, why aren't they doing anything to protect themselves? No, the right questions to ask is, why is your immune system is really weak? Why are you picking up something every time you go outside, a step outside, you come up with something? Because you have a very weak immune system. This is the something that we need to come to terms with. What are you not doing appropriately? You have a closed system, perfectly created mind, body, spirit, vessel, yet you are continuously sick, and continuously picking up something, because the truth is there are nurses that have to go into work with these individuals that who's not well every single day, that yet they are not able to complain. They have no choice. That's their profession they choose. And the rest of us like to be so judgmental and complain why people aren't protecting themselves. It's the appropriate thing is for you to really protect yourself. It's an ethical thing to do. You have also responsibility to take time off and recover. When you're not 100%, when you're not 80%, you're not 70% well, then you have no business going anywhere. You have to stay home and recover. These are the social inequalities that's hostile for the human mind, body, spirit vessel. We have to know, why is it impossible for a person to stay home and recover when they're not operating at least 80% of their health? And why do we have a system that we have to go out running around doing things all the time when you are supposed to be home and recovering? It's the human beings doesn't have this, at least this kind of time and space. This is what we need to question. But we are to ask ourselves, we are not sleeping well, we are constantly weak, we're constantly under stress, we're constantly suffering, we're picking up allergies, we're not doing well. This is something that we have to come to terms with. Why is your mind, body, spirit vessel is completely off? You can't handle anything. Then there is something that you really have to question. This is mechanical stuff, but also spiritual alignment is off. We tend to internalize these things because we're constantly in a circumstances. We have to do things where it's not aligned with our mind, body, spirit. Yet we have this idea, the people pleasing and not having appropriate boundaries. These are the toxic, unbalanced systems. These are the areas that we need to question. It's a common sense, it's a practical, logical thinking. This is how we try to like physical boundaries. This is how we maintain that environment healthy. If we go through this lifetime, centuries, years, there come to is come to a point where we need to question everything, and you can't um, continue to grow uh, in a balanced environment. This is why we come into these problems, because we ignore, we never question. The transparency was never there. The system, we are putting in energy into a system that is extremely toxic, hostile. It doesn't really make any sense. We know these things happen in real time, real life, throughout the world, and humans are experiencing. So instead of being uh, bitter about it, it's at least we have to ask these questions from our own self. So this is how we get into that right path and trying to improve something, because we cannot continue to thrive in extreme toxicity. We are not thriving, we're not growing, we're not even existing in a neutral manner, because our toxicity now taken over. We still see people have a lot of problems. They're still trying to prevent and put roadblocks into these um, transparency problems. We're blaming, we're complaining, we are bitter about it, because inevitable happens in a larger scale. It's playing out in real time. Uh, we can take a moment and we can say, wow, this is something we really have to do. The transparency have to happen. Accountability has to happen, because it's not some personal little problems that we need to deal with. This is a larger scale. This is all about the human species, the human race, and its exploitation of humans. It happens, and the personal responsibility of ignoring our personal responsibility to get that autocorrect button. Instead, we're feeding into it. We know there is mismanagement of funds, but nobody ever take a minute to say, wow, this is not right. This is but we have the taxpayers continually feeding into these systems. There's no accountability. We're so accustomed to, as long as it helps my bottom line, who cares how ethical it is? The moral obligations are not there. So this is why we run into these problems in these times. And instead of really taking a moment to go internal and ask these difficult questions, we're not ready to grow anywhere. We're just going to destroy ourselves, because we have inability to use that autocorrect buttons. We are not correcting ourselves. If everyone have a compassion and empathy, no one is going to hurt another. Not financially, not spiritually, not physically. They are not going to exploit them, because you have awareness, because you have empathy, you have a compassion. So then you know there, what is the end game when you terrorize someone. uh, there have to be something. You can't go through life, oh, we're competitive, we're educated, we're high class, so then you sell drugs to all kind of little kids, and you do these things, the weapons, and oh my goodness, it's horrible. We need to come to terms with these destructive patterns. We are partly responsible, because we never question, because we never use that autocorrect buttons. We don't care a kind of toxicity we put out. Where is it going to all end up? This is why the divine body, mind, spirit vessel have a personal responsibility to correct ourselves. If someone is experimenting on us, we need to be equally conscious and have awareness what is happening into our own life, our own personal groups, our communities, and what kind of things you put out. This is how we stay conscious, and this is how we get into a harmonious existence instead of constantly uh, participating on a level of toxicity that you're digging your heels in. We can't maintain any systems like that. Eventually, it is going to crash and get destroyed. So this is why individually, when we work on ourselves, when we're conscious, when we have open mind, when we are capable of having empathy for another, we're capable of uh, eliminating a level of toxicity, we have a hopefulness. This is why if we are thriving, uh, the lot of problems, they become self-inflicted, and there's no room and space because we identify the problems. At this point, we don't even know there is a problem. Some of us go through life, well, we're just doing our own thing. We're going to the shows and we're traveling. We're doing our own things. Sure, this is how you want to live our life, but we have to have the ability to scan our environment because it's going to have an effect. Uh, it happened to us because we knew that something is off, this is not right. For years, especially working with general public, we have this awareness, we have observation, we don't really disregard all the experiences, we utilize them to make best decisions for us. And this is what the toxicity is all about. Few years ago, we had this opportunity with this health thing. We had It was like an opportunity for some of us because we gained the time and space and really think hard and really decide what is your role in your own life. So it happens we had to make these difficult choices, but it was opportunity. It wasn't a waste. And we know now, all of a sudden we hear you got to buy local and everything, but it's a common sense. Some of us, we for years we buy local things, we support the local farming communities, we buy things from local a person or the groceries. We really don't go into the consumers system as much. It doesn't mean that we never buy anything, but we really pay attention to what is most important thing, because we know in the end it's going to end up in some landfill somewhere. So you have few pieces because everyone wants to feel like they have options and choices, which is a great place to be. But after a while you realize there's really no point. If you have 50 shoes, if you got 10 of them, if you got 5 of them, it's all about comfort. You tend to wear the same old pajamas that bring you comfort, and you have them wearing them like for years because you like them. It's comforting. It's all about comfort. Choices are there, but eventually you have to settle with where you're most comfortable. So our life is the same thing. And as for the uh, larger the administrative systems, they had that time to be self-sufficient. Back then, we know we had nothing there available because it had to come from somewhere. You gotta order it from some other country. But no, why didn't you be proactive and empower your local communities, your own provinces. And these are like common sense observations. We have to it's a business model, yeah, because it's a drama, it's a yucky system. You're not, it's like, for me, if I don't have things in my own house, I had to go borrow something from the neighbors or something. Who does that? It's not a old-fashioned community. It's like for my childhood, you have no neighbors collaborating and working towards something. It's not like that here in this Western world. We have to uh, run somewhere else to do this, and we got to order it from somewhere. The shipping is not there. Elevator breakdown, it's got to wait for 2 years to get the parts because it's got to come from somewhere. That's the playing games. People have to realize the importance of self-sufficient uh, behaviors. And if the leaders aren't doing that and become proactive, what is the use for it? They are running around and flying around all over the world making deals, but you have nothing, you have no pot to piss on in your own place. This is common sense observation. People need to be proactive. That's sort of like you create your own home, as comfort in your own home. You have to make sure that you are self-sufficient countries. It's especially very large countries, empowering your communities and have local businesses. You're running around because then you have these silly drama clown show. You're pretending you're negotiating this and that, where you have all the resources you have. You can bring something you have. If you want something from your childhood, you have the local, you have the international places that you go to, sure, but prioritizing and making common sense observation and decisions is the most important thing for these complicated times. You know where you have to improve, you know where you have to release some of these toxicity and complaining every time because you're feeding into the negativity instead of empowering yourself. In the end, we are all responsible for our own life. When it comes to your health, you can blame everybody, neighbor, everybody, somebody cough on the train or whatever. You can blame, but it is your mind, body, vessel that's suffering. So you have to know about these things. You make poor financial decisions, guess who is going to suffer because of that? If you go into addiction and all kinds of self-inflicted drama, you can blame others maybe a little bit, but it's your conscious decisions that got you in there. So you have to pay attention and take a personal responsibility. I know I'm not perfect, but I always try to look at things, what I can do to improve, create harmonious place. If I clean up my home, I'm happy. But there were times, because you're so weak and you're overworked, you're tired, you don't really bother to clean. And Sunday, you get up and clean everything, and you're so much happier and you wish you can stay home. This is the time that I used to work. These things, you make that auto-correct button and you correct yourselves, and this is how you improve your life. This is how you create empathy and compassion. This is how you become in charge of your own mind, body, spirit, vessel. Because if you don't, somebody else, it becomes somebody else's problem. But why would you want to exist in such circumstances? You have the all the authority over yourself, so then you have to pay attention to every decision that you make, and that includes the karmic cycle, because we have to know the end game. You cannot be continuously become so toxic and be that horrible neighbor, can't park, somebody park, calling the city, and these things happen. It's according to the law, it's possible, but if you're aggravating your surroundings and creating toxicity everywhere you go, then you have to know there is an end game somewhere. These energies are going to return to you because you haven't participated in the growth of human consciousness um, uh, harmoniously, because it's a toxic existence. So then you have to really respect the just because we have ambition doesn't mean you can destroy somebody else's. Just like we have a right to be creative and thrive in life, another person's have the same thing. In the natural environment, you see that everything is a beginning, it's an extension, it's a magical piece of art everywhere you turn, because this is how the harmonious environment exists. And we are to do the same. If someone is experimenting on us, we need to be proactive and pay attention to what is really going on around us.